Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Our first story is by the LMG. You want the manual physically? Okay. For context, I just went into my old workplace and remembered this story. 5 years ago I used to work for a large electronics store in Scandinavia. We sold everything from TVs to dishwashers. Being a physical store, we had a lot of display items, and often sold them at a lower price when the product was discontinued. Please note that we rarely had the original packaging or manuals lying around. This will be important. This story takes place a late afternoon, about 30 minutes before closing. I work this shift in the computer department, and was asked to help at the camera section of the store, as I was the go-to person for cameras. I was greeted by a couple, who I would guess were in their late 50s, and they were looking at one of the display models. I walked them through the camera's specs, let them test it out, and explained that while we had all the necessary accessories, the original manual and packaging were thrown away. They seemed perfectly fine with this, especially after I offered them a fantastic deal on the camera. We headed to the checkout, where they paid, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. That is until the husband turned to me and asked, "Where's the manual?" I was thinking, oh shoot, maybe I didn't explain it well enough. I started to explain again, reiterating that we didn't have the original manual, but that it was easily accessible online. I had even included a link to the manual on their receipt. This was not taken well by the husband, who started raising his voice at me and said, "Online, I bought this product and I want the manual physically, so I can read through it at home." Which I do understand, and tried explaining that I normally would print the manual. However, the manual for this particular camera was about 650 pages. Please note that they are both more than capable of looking up the manual, as I saw them browsing the web looking at reviews for the camera. The husband angrily started to berate me for about 5 minutes about how this wasn't a way to run a business and how he wouldn't leave without it. I tried explaining that the manual was 650 pages, how long that would take to print, and we were closing in around 10 minutes. But he was having none of it, and he wouldn't leave without it. Now, I am normally a kind and respectful person, and would do everything to fix a problem, but he was being disrespectful, and I was paid by the hour anyway. So with my best customer service voice, I told him, "Sorry sir, of course, the customer is always right," and started printing the 650 pages, while the husband looked smugly at me, probably feeling like he had won over the big man. But the thing was, the printers we had at the sales desk were only meant for printing receipts, so they couldn't print double-sided, and though they were relatively fast, they were not 650 pages fast, and only held around 300 sheets of paper at a time. As the minutes ticked by, with each sheet of paper that emerged from the printer, the man's smug expression disappeared. His wife, who had initially seemed passive, began to look annoyed and a bit embarrassed. Then the printer ran out of paper, and you could see the relief in their eyes as they thought the printer was finally done. But that was quickly gone when they saw me coming with a huge stack of paper to fill it up. 20 minutes and 400 pages in, the wife started to look even more desperate, realizing that they were the only customers in a store that closed 10 minutes ago. The husband was beginning to realize his mistake, and nervously began to ask when it was done printing. I just smiled with my best customer service smile. We were about 2/3 of the way. He sighed and just continued to look at the mountain of paper that slowly got bigger and bigger. Another refill, and 200 pages later, the husband's defeat was evident. He finally asked if he could just take what had already been printed and leave. But by then, only like 50 pages remained. So I told him that we're almost done, and I would hate it if he left without the last pages, in case he would miss something important. When the printer finally stopped, I handed him the entire 650-page manual, still smiling, and said, "Here you go, I hope you have a great day, and enjoy the camera." They quickly left the store, silent and defeated, and I never saw them again. Quick edit to clarify some things. I got paid 1.5 my wage, plus afternoon add-on, so staying 30 minutes longer was actually a plus for me. I would have loved to say that the manual was in 6 different languages, but it wasn't. But the manual had so much info that is only relevant if you are a professional photographer, which they were not. Oh, and did I mention that I didn't put any staples or holes in the paper? Good luck keeping it together. The customer is always right. In matters of taste. Our next story is by Vermin Jerky. If you insist, sir. I hope you like pink. I've worked my way up the ladder at the company where I work, but when I started, I was a support agent. By the time this story happened, I was a team lead of some kind. I don't remember which. What matters is that I still worked directly supporting customers, but I also had a fair amount of agency. I didn't have to ask for permission or assistance to do anything related to my job. We're a software company, but we used to sell a specific small Bluetooth accessory that worked with one of our apps. It came in several bright colors and we sold multi-packs. It was the kind of device you might need more than one of, and it was a popular gift. One year, during the Christmas season, our manufacturer screwed up gloriously. They didn't deliver all of the inventory we were supposed to get, and worse, much of what we did get was messed up and had serious defects. It was a horrible mess, and a serious detriment to our small company. I was on the front lines of cleaning it up. We wound up severely backordered at the busiest time of year, having sold units that should have been delivered, but that we either never received or found to be defective upon arrival. We had to contact people and let them know their orders would be delayed until after the holidays. Some people wanted refunds, some people wanted their items late. We tried to be helpful and bent over backwards to be apologetic while trying to keep this debacle from becoming a catastrophe and incentivize people not to cancel. There was one man who wanted us to perform magic, however. He wanted his order, our largest multi-pack, and he wanted it now. I don't know how many times he contacted us, but I wound up being the only one to deal with him because he'd always be escalated to me. I told him over and over again that we couldn't send his order even though we very much wanted to, so we'd be happy to refund him. If he wanted to wait, there were many others ahead of him to get their orders. He demanded that he get his order first. He didn't care who else had to wait. He would berate me and try to literally command me to do as he said almost daily for a while, no matter how many times I explained why I literally couldn't. Eventually, I opened the spreadsheet where we were keeping our back orders and moved him to the very bottom. Yeah, I was prolonging my own suffering, but he had me feeling petty. After the holidays ended and upper management waged a nuclear war with our manufacturer, usable stock started rolling in. I bumped a few deserving or eager customers to the top of the list, but mostly sent them out in order. He's the only one I bumped down. But I had something ready for the next time he decided to scream at me. When he inevitably did, I told him we had stock, but others were receiving theirs first, and we hadn't yet gotten in the colors he ordered in his multi-pack. I was sort of planning to do what I did anyway, but he was kind enough to give me explicit permission.
I don't care what colors you send, you're to send them to me immediately.
Our colors included Susan G. Komen pink. The customer was gloriously smug and condescending when I told him we'd go ahead and fulfill his order right away. He definitely thought he had won some kind of victory, but sure enough, the day his package arrived, he sent an email complaining.
I know I said I'd accept any color, but really? You sent me, a man, an order of nothing but pink? I want these replaced. Send me something else.
I told him that's all we had available for him and that the conversation was over. And so it was. I never heard from him again. It took a few years before I brought it up, but I've told that anecdote at workplace meetings a few times, including to my boss, the CEO. I wouldn't take another support job to save every orphaned puppy on earth, but that story was worth the misery. Always be nice to support agents, for your own sake. Okay everyone, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment and subscribe. Then I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers!